And then San Miguel game, Cabi Espinas, papasok na sa gym. Sa Coliseum. Ko, papatuloy si Gabi. Ang yan. Ka-Englishin mo. Hindi ka naiintindihan.
Bully ka.
Dude, in English kasi naman. Oh my God, hiya ako.
Okay.
Mainit ba sa inyo, Carlo?
Sakto lang.
Mas painitin natin kung gusto mo dahil kasama natin ngayon this afternoon on 2T, two of our courtside reporters from the PBA. Of course, Miss SELINA DAGDAG and Miss RIZZA DIAZ na sinasayaw-sayawan pa tayo ngayon.
Hi, guys.
Hi, RIZZA. Hi, SELINA. Thank you for joining us. Let's start things off with, kumusta kayo dyan? What have you been doing in the past few weeks? We're all, stuck inside our houses. What are you doing to pass the time? Let's start with RIZZA.
You know what? Like everybody, I've just been home, trying so much stuff in the kitchen. Luckily, I haven't burned the house down yet. Ang daming trial and error sa kusina. A lot of Netflix, a lot of reading, trying my very best to be productive and work out, pero it gets the better of me sometimes, so I just binge watch on Netflix. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
RIZZA, before we get to SELINA, it must be a pretty drastic change for you. Etong babaeng walang pahinga si RIZZA. Aside from courtside reporting, nagni-news anchor din yan sa One News almost every day. This girl's at work.
That's
now
true.
You're doing a once a week web show as well for One Sports, diba? But that's just once a week now.
Magu, Carlos, SELINA, totoo, like true story. When they first told me that our news programs will be put on hold and I wouldn't be able to work for until further notice. I think that's the worrier part. Until further notice is you don't know when.
Nakakatakot nga.
I literally cried. I cried so much because since the time I can't even remember, I'm working every day. And for let's say months, I wouldn't even get a day off, not one day off, because I have news Monday to Friday, morning and night. I have events in between. I have PBA, on the weekend. So biglang wala kang gagawin. It was such a foreign experience to me, and I literally cried because parang feeling ko, what am I gonna do with my life now?
Alam mo raw kung bakit, Riz?
Bakit?
Wala na raw mapaglagyan yung salapi mo sa bangko tsaka sa wallet eh. Masyado ng puno. Okay na. Relax daw muna.
But yeah, Magu's right. I'm not used to it. And I think from this day forward, I will not take not one work for granted anymore. Pag sinabing 2 hours call time, 4 hours before, karating na ako, nandun na ako.
Which we actually do anyway. Ikaw, SELINA, kamusta?
Yeah.
How have you been spending your time?
Well, actually, Kevin and I decided to spend the quarantine in his parents' house. So we're all at Coach Louie's house. He's actually here. He's going to say hi for a bit. Love, say hi.
Si Coach Louie?
Yeah. Si Kevin.
What's up,
But then
Kev?
he's going to step out. So, yeah, we've been working out because we've been eating a lot also. Coach Louie. So I keep rounder by the day. And I read a lot of books. So far, that's it. I just read, I work out, I eat a lot. So feeling like it's been a really great way to unwind and then to rest. So yeah. How about you guys?
I feel like I'm watching a Beyonce music video. I love the hair flowing right there.
Oh my gosh, can you have the fan love?
It's okay. It's okay.
I know it. Sorry. Para fresh, diba? Medyo sinadya ko yun.
Aliwalas.
Press. Okay, better guys. Ayan.
No, we need it on again.
No, it might be
Pero
getting in the way of the audio.
Ah,
Yeah.
Before we
Okay,
continue,
guys.
time muna tayo sa mga nanonood sa atin on Facebook. Si Carlo Reyes, Brian Christian Bulan, si Ate Mash Togonon is watching. Hi kayo kay Ate Mash.
Hi.
Ate
Birthday
na.
daw kay Gabe. Hi kay Leo Yalong Santos, Limuel Padua, si Sir Miguel Veyes watching, Jason Pacardo, Sir Olmin Leyba, Edward Espera, and Brian Banal and Randall Bakay. Tanong ko lang, of course we all miss work, but what about, covering games? What about being in the venue? Do you miss the most? Ano yung hinahanap-hanap nyo talaga na part ng inyong daily routine when you have work in the PBA? Let's start with Selina this time.
Wow. Ako, to be honest, namimiss ko yung naghihintay for the players to arrive. So coming from the entrance, they're gonna start coming in one by one, and then we start doing our interviews, especially because it's been such a long break, because of this quarantine and all. So it's so interesting what they've been up to during the off season. At this point, during the season at the start, ang daming human stories na magagather. Because, the players have been on break, they've been on their own separate vacations, they've been doing their own things for training, for, in preparation for the new season ahead. So for me, yun yung pinaka-na-miss ko yung kwentuhan with all of the athletes, and just a lot of interesting things you're gonna hear from them coming into as I mentioned, new season.
How about you, Riz?
I miss the whole just being in the Coliseum, and then the time na I take my seat, and then the barkers start to call in the players, the first five, and you hear everyone like cheering. Tapos the jump ball na, the first basket was made, and people started to clap. It's just that feeling that puts me back again to that perspective na talagang sobrang PBA fan lang kasi ko. And at some point, I would forget that I'm actually working the game. You just enjoy every part of it. Nakakamiss yung punong-puno yung venue, yung siksikan tayo. Di ba, na wala ka ng maupuan, makikipaghaway ka because you don't even have your seat. So that, and just watching basketball in itself, I really miss it. In fact, every Sunday, para akong hindi ko alam yung gagawin ko because my Sundays are usually dedicated for PBA doubleheader Sundays. But now we just have to wait. Diba?
Rizza, for you personally, ano yung biggest difference between courtside work and studio work? Kasi yun na nga, you've been doing a lot of studio for One News. Ano yung confined space yung studio? And then sabi mo nga, ang saya nung gulo sa game. What's, aside from that, ano pa yung difference?
Well, for sports, we are very spontaneous. We say how it is as it happens. For news, we're pretty much, kumbaga, nakalinya na to kung ano yung babasahin, kung ano yung ibabalita for that certain time. It's two different things, two different approach, even the way we speak, the way you talk, the way you deliver, ibang-iba siya. I have to admit, when I first started with news, and up until now, I still feel like I'm a rookie. Lahat ng natutunan mo with sportscasting, you put that to the side because this is a different arena. This is a different ball game now. But may similarities din naman. May similarities pa rin naman. But again, sportscasting and newscasting, two different things, right? Two different things.
Selina and Rizza, you both got started in similar ways, no? You started back in college as courtside reporters. With the anchor episode that we had a couple of days ago, napag-usapan namin yung proseso ng pagpasok sa industry. I want to know your story. How was it that you entered, the courtside reporting world back in college? How was the audition like? Can you run us through the process that you had to go through para makaabot yung nasaan kayo ngayon? Selina.
Okay, well, should I go first? Or Rizza? Okay. Well, with me, I remember so well. I was a sophomore in Ateneo. And can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is my audio okay? So I used to be sophomore in Ateneo, and I work out a lot in Moro Lorenzo gym. And then one time while I was in the locker room of the women, I was dressing up when this lady approaches me, and then she says, "Oh, why don't you try auditioning to be the Blue Eagles' next courtside reporter?" So when she said that, parang I was bouncing, like, parang, oh, parang good idea yan, ah. I was bouncing it off my head. I mean, I've always liked sports, and I mean, I've had a couple of jobs before, in front of the camera. So when I went home that day, I remember I saw this video, or this commercial rather, on the television, and they were holding a courtside auditions for the new season, like that. Sabi ko, baka sign yun. So I tried to send in an application. And then I remember there were over like 300 applicants the first year I tried. And then they make you go through 5 rounds of auditions. So this was with ABS-CBN Sports Pa. So they make you go through 5 rounds. I think I was about 18, 17 then. And then during the first round, may mga mababawasan. Hanggang sa final round, it was just between me and then the former courtside reporter of Ateneo. So it was like a one-on-one battle from there. And then the final challenge that time was to get an update on how the team, your current school, your team's doing. And that was during the off season. And I got a little worried because that time, the Ateneo Blue Eagles, they were all in Las Vegas. They go there every summer for their off-season training, for scrimmages and such. So when I went back tomorrow and I knocked in the office of the Blue Eagles, it was so funny because the lady that opened that door was the very lady who I met in the gym while I was dressing up. She was that lady who encouraged me to, oh, why don't you try courtside reporting, blah, blah, blah. So it was problematic because I didn't know how to contact the team. They were in LA. What this lady did for me was she set up a Skype. She was so lovely. And then she introduced me to Coach Sandy at Espocachaga. And that time it was Coach Norman who was the coach. So I got to talk to Coach Sandy and like some other people, and I was able to get an update on them. So that completed the 5th round. So the prior rounds, they make you listen to a huddle, then they make you do a report, or they make you write a piece about a certain player, like that. Then sa final huddle na yun, I was so thankful because if it weren't for that lady who I met in the gym room, I don't think I would have been able to, pass the challenge for the 5th round. So yeah, on 5th round, I submitted my work. And then I remember my brother picked me up from ABS-CBN after that round, and he was consoling me. He said, "Oh, you're so young, and you went up against a veteran. So I just want you to know I'm so proud of you at this point." My brother was going like that, and then the next day, I got an email that I got the part. So I told my brother, "Wait a minute, I got the part. I got the part." So everybody, my whole family, like my parents, my mom was also with me, and my uncle with me, my brother were with me, so they were all floored. They were a big fan of the whole basketball thing, the college spirit. So ayun, from there, tuloy-tuloy na. I started when I was about 17, so it's been, I don't know, I'm 26 now. I'm 27 now, so it's been like, I don't know, 10 years with pauses in between.
Hold on,
So
Selena.
there.
So the short version of the story is you actually dethroned somebody. You knocked
I'm
out the
sorry?
reigning or the current courtside reporter.
Well, wow, parang yabang
Diba?
pa naman. What do I guess it was, wow, grabe, parang I feel bad all of a sudden for that. I guess it was God's time already for me. Like, I guess it was, his time already for me. Prior to that, experience kasi, like, I remember the only thing I would land were print ads. Puro, like, yung candy magazine, diba dati uso yun? And then every time I would go on, like, auditions for, like, other things, it's like, they wouldn't take me. So parang sabi ko, it's not, like, it was for some time, I really wanted to host. I really wanted to do more than, like, just print ad modeling and stuff. So I felt like that year, it was already God's time for me. But it didn't, like, fall on my lap or anything. Like, I had to also work my way through it. And there, finally, I got what I was hoping for that year.
Dang.
So just
Oh,
just
grabe.
a few parts of the story that I picked up. So you were at the gym, tapos nagbibihis ka, tapos nilapitan ka nung mabait na person from the office. Kasi ako pag nagbibihis ako sa gym, umiiwas lahat ng tao.
Oh my, no, hindi. Kasi naman, hindi niya naman ako random. Kasi
Lumalayo
ako
sila.
sa harap ng... Oh my God! Wait, it wasn't that rap. Kasi I was dressing up and I was in front of the main mirror. May full body mirror doon. So
No
sabi
further
ko,
explanation needed,
so parang,
Selena.
I need to explain myself. So sabi ko dun, before she approached me, I could see her behind me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I was blocking your vision of the mirror. So I put aside my stuff, I put my body aside, and I apologized to her. And that's when she said, oh, why don't you, are you interested? Do you know about basketball? Why don't you try auditioning to be a courtside reporter? That time, I had no idea she was affiliated with the team. Tita Mita, if you're listening, that's you. So yun, sobrang parang serendipity.
And thank you po for discovering Selena and bringing her to our world. Thank you po. Ito naman ito si Rizza. I've known you for more than a decade, right?
Dude, wag mong i-reveal masyado yung mga number of years. Kasi nung pinapakinggan ko si Selena, parang very recent. Alam mo yun?
I've been working with Rizza for a long time.
Yes. Magu was one of them colleagues, friends of mine in the industry who's seen me struggle. As in talagang, yung umiiyak, yung parang, bakit? Ba't hindi pa ngayon? Kailan ba ito mangyayari? You know, we went through that. So, and we're still here. So, you know.
Alam mo yung maganda kay Rizza? Strike anywhere din to eh. Did you guys know? Baka hindi alam din ng viewers natin na hanggang PBA radio nag-anchor woman pa yan si Miss Rizza Diaz. Kung ano kailangan just to grow in this industry, Rizza did. How did you actually start from bago pa tayo magkakilala when you were in college?
In college, I was part of the student council. Yes, people. So
responsibles.
Student council. And then, you know, Bagu, back then, Carlo, we had the PBL games. The PBL was playing in Emilio Aguinaldo College, where it was cool.
Bago tumumba.
And then and then halftime, part of the agreement, since we are hosting the games, is we get to invite alumni for the foundation week that's about to happen. Yung president ng student council was, you know, shy because he's a guy. I don't want to be on cam. Ako basketball fan, so I was watching and I was there. And then sabi nila, si Rizza na lang, kaya ni Rizza yan. So, invite mo lang naman. Edi, ako na lang, di ba? Ako na lang. And you know who interviewed me? I don't think she remembers. Guess who? Talagang tinakda.
Patring.
Guess who? No.
Oh my God.
Leah Cruz.
Oh.
Hey, Leah. I was going to say Leah. I should have said it out loud, but at the back of my head, I was like, Leah?
Siyempre, at least, eye to eye level lang kami. Hindi masyadong awkward. Okay, so invite, ganyan. And then after that, the late Butch Maniego, who was covering one of the games, approached Coach Nomar Isla of the EAC Generals and said, you know what, that girl sounds good. Maybe she can audition for the UAAP also come summer. So nagbigayan ng nag-exchange ng telephone numbers, and then like Selena, they texted me for the auditions. So I went to the auditions. It wasn't easy going to the auditions literally kasi wala ka pa namang kotse, so nag-MRT ako. Pumirik ba naman yung MRT in the middle of, oh my gosh. MRT. And then, lipat ka from MRT, get on a bus, and then from the bus, you take a tricycle to ABS-CBN, and then, like Selena, there were also plenty of other girls. May guy din nun, si Aaron Ataide. So yun, oh my God. And I think it was a little, I think for us, I just remember going one time and then I didn't hear from them for about a month. So I thought, oh, wala lang. Kung wala, it's okay. And then they called after a month to say, yeah, I got the part, and I would report, and they would love to have me attend a new practice so that I could meet the team and this and that. So yeah, and then that's pretty much the start of it. NU back then was the olden NU, hindi pa ganyang maganda yung gym nila and all that. So that's how it pretty much started. And then from there, I covered NCAA, UAAP NCAA, WNCAA, D-League, tayo sa D-League, di ba? Ano pa ba? PCBL, lahat ng kung anong sport na meron. FIBA, billiards.
Yeah. So yan nga, that's how the two of you got started to break into the industry. Ngayon
Yes.
naman, paano kayo nakarating dun sa PBA stage? Kasi ito na yung grandest stage eh. Selina, after your college gig, how did you actually land doing the PBA?
Wow. Well, what I did, because ever since I was young, I've always dreamt of becoming a preschool teacher. So after my college gig, I thought, parang it was like a calling. Like I've always had that like nagging thing, no? You need to get yourself into preschool teaching. So after college, I made the decision, okay, let's take a break from TV to tell kahit pa paano. I think I'm a little young pa naman. So I feel I could afford to experiment. I did preschool teaching for a school year, and it's a job that I super duper loved. But I remember like my dad was a little disappointed. He felt like I wasn't really bringing out I wasn't using my full potential in that industry. Sabi niya, feeling niya, I still have more to offer. Like I could always go back to preschool maybe someday again. So that time, parang I remember I was in preschool teaching when I got into contact with Miko Halili. And Miko that time was still with CNN. So I decided to go back to TV. I did CNN Philippines, but my beat was crime. So I was on the midnight shift, and I was covering that time yung Tokhang kasi peak yun ng mga Baybas, Tokhang. So
Ang
grabe, like if you see
stressful
my
naman
phone
ng racket
gallery
mo.
before, if you see my phone gallery before, grabe, Magu, Carlo, Rizza, like as in all dead bodies. You would really look at my phone, it would all be dead bodies. And finally after a few months, I started having nightmares already. Yung tipong when I
Bad
go to
vibes
sleep,
eh.
like it would really haunt me. And, that time we didn't really have the briefing yet and such. So I was praying about it, like, is this what I was meant to do? And then so when I got the contract for my regularization, I thought, parang I don't want to continue anymore. So I didn't sign the regularization contract. And it was interesting because around that time I was still with Viva. They called me up saying that a couple of people from TV5 wanted me to do a screen audition. So I went to TV5. I met Miss Pat, Miss Diana, Direct Chu was also there, Sir Coy. So I did a screen test, and I know they wanted to get me for PSL. So that was our volleyball. Alam naman natin Philippines, super really good at our volleyball league. So I did my audition for PSL. I did a screen test, and then the next day they contacted me. They said I could start taping with Sir Coy, especially because I did it for the Ateneo Lady Eagles, like that. So I was doing it for PSL for about 2 weeks when the rec chief spoke to me and asked if they could transition me also to PBA. And ayun, like, nung una sabi ko kay Direk, I remember my very first response when he told me that he was gonna put me in PBA was like, wait, sigurado ka? Because, like, to be honest, coming from college, the only player I knew was like James Yap, because, yung intriguing niya dati, diba, with he was very popular. So sabi ko, Direk, wait, I was very honest, sabi ko, Direk, yung kilala ko lang dyan is James Yap, So what I did that night when they informed me talagang, I sat down with my laptop, I Googled every single player in the PBA, kahit yung mga not utilized, even those in the second bench, third bench, and I Googled everything about them. I printed their faces so I know who to approach during the game. So it didn't come naturally, but talagang kasi I know Rizza's grit, I super admire her. Like, she's a legit fan from way before she entered the league. So parang for me, for Rizza, it came so naturally. For me, I had to work extra hard to get to her, not even her level, but to just get to half of where she's at. And then, ayun, tapos nalala ko yung first game ko, sinapat si Bon yung katabi ko noon. Tapos pina-interview niya sa akin, PBA players, natapat sa akin si Ranedel. Hindi ko kadunod si Ranedel. Like, I was saying, parang sumihin ako kay Bon, tapos binubulungan ako ni Bon behind the camera. Tapos si Ranidel tumingin sa akin, sino?
Nakakatakot
Sabi
pa
niya,
naman, Theodore,
bago,
pagka hindi mo nahuli
ganyan.
yung kilite, no?
Oo, pero alam mo, after that, Ranidel became one of my most favorite players. As in, super sarap kakwentuhan, super funny, such a big brother vibe. And then ayun, that's where I started. And then since then, I watched you guys cover the games. I tried to learn from you guys. I remember watching also Rizza's report again and again, just so I get like, you know, the gist of what her storytelling. Like I understand that it's a little bit different in the PBA. Compared to the AP, so I listened to everybody's reports, Apple, Carlos, everybody who was ahead of me in the PBA, Denise, that time Sel and Erica were also with us. So yeah.
Selina, question lang, Selina, sorry. Nung nag-google ka ng PBA players, pang ilan si Kevin Alas?
Yun.
Oh my God! Si Kevin, actually sobrang medyo siya, mga 4, kasi I only Googled them the night before I covered their game. So I remember I covered NLEX on like my second week as a courtside reporter.
So padulo na mga 400 plus.
Hindi naman mga pang 400. Actually, buti na lang when I covered NLEX, maganda yung game ni Kevin prior to that. So he was on the list of the people I interviewed. So ginugol ko siya, screenshot ko pa yung face niya. Ayun.
Nakaprint pa ba?
Una pa, I was having a hard time.
Sa nakasabit ngayon yung print?
Nakasabit.
Oh my gosh, sayang. It's in my house. It's not here. I really want to play that. Kasi naka-paste pa yun sa play and notebook. And it was so funny kasi at first, I approached Carlo Lastimosa. And I called Carlo Lastimosa, Kevin Alas? Si Carlo Lastimosa tumawa pa. Sabi niya, hindi ako yun. So it was so funny. I had a lot of bloopers when I was starting, but they were so nice. Like si Carlo, after that, nag-message pa, natawa daw siya, ganyan. But yeah, a lot of bloopers before I was able to do what Rizza's currently doing.
Wait, I have kwento with Selina. Kasi diba she was new. She was new. And then I think, either first game or second game, basta nag-aabot kami doon. And she was this sweet girl asking me, oh, paano ba? Like, how do I go about this? So I'm giving her naman tips. Hindi naman I share. Diba? Pero, wala lang, napag-tripan ko lang. Sabi ko, so, kasi she's asking, oh, how do you approach ba players? Sabi ko, syempre may timing yan. And then, San Miguel game, Gabi Espinas, papasok na sa gym. Sa Coliseum. Sabi ko, nakatuloy niya si Gabi. Alam yan. Ka-Englishin mo. Hindi ka na
Bully ka.
Dude, in English ka siya noon. Oh my God, hiya ako.
Dumating na si Gabi. Eto na si Selina DAGDAG. Nag-usap si Gabi. Nandun ako sa gilid. Tinitignan ko lang talaga sila. Si Gabi, bakit? Ano ba yan? Tapos Selina after.
Ayaw ko talaga.
Ang gandang binyag nun, ah.
I remember that moment so well. Actually, naman talaga unforgettable na si Rizza for me. Pero ang dami kong tawa sa moment na yun kasi midway to our interview, I realized, parang alam mo yun, transition ko na siya sa Tagalog. Pero in my head, sabi ko, Rizza talaga. Unforgettable na siya nun.
Do you remember how you started asking Gabi? Can you recall kung paano mo siya inumpisang kausapin?
No, actually, I remember I started like this. Sabi ko, hi, Gabi and Selina. I'm a new courtside reporter for the PBA and I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions. Ganun ko sinabulan yung interview ko. So, ayun.
Anong ginawa ni Gabi? Tumango lang. Hindi naman.
There was a slight lag. Sabi niya, yeah, gumanan siya. Pero oh my gosh, natawa ko.
Gabi, si Espinas is one of the funniest guys you'll meet out there too.
Love him.
Buti na lang nakiride siya. That's so true. Buti na lang talaga. Mabait yung matapat. Feeling ko naman, serious player yon. Like, Rizza wouldn't tell me like, oh, do this. Or like, ano yan, ganyan yan. So yeah, I don't think I would have briefed.
I'm just making everybody laugh.
Ganda ng baptism of fire neto ni Selina. Ikaw, Rizza, after yung haba nga nung pinagdaanan mo na, no? And I know talagang target mo yung PBA dati pa. How did you actually break in? Yung mismong moment na naka-break in ka, paano nangyari?
I was covering everything else other than the PBA for our station already. I think, ano na tayo nun? Active tayo nun, ha?
Active, yeah.
Active. Pumayag ako because I really want to be able to be in the PBA games. I agreed to train for PBA radio and be one of their panelists with the late Barry Pasco. Yung mga ganyang time pa yun. Little did people know, wala akong TF, hindi ako kasama sa budget. Kasi hindi naman talaga ako kasama sa roster. Pero I just want to be able to cover the games and, see the games, di ba? Watch for free. So one time, one of them reporters back then, I think had to leave right away, like super short notice for the States, Jessica Mendoza. She was going to leave in like a week. Tapos, kinailangan na nila ng reporter for like 2 days, like a day after, or parang ganon. Wednesday, Friday na yung game, parang ganyan. Or Friday ako tinext, Sunday na yung game. And then sabi lang nila kung available ka for TV. Luminashock ako. Sinave ko yung message na yun. Hanggang ngayon, nakasave yung message na yun. Kasi yung reply ko, oh my God, prank ba to? I'm gonna die. Ganyan. And then, sabi hindi. So, yun daw. Gusto dating ka lang daw ng maaga, sabi ni Tita Russell, ganyan. And my first game was a Manila Classical game. So,
wow.
Sa pool ka agad, ah.
Right, and Magu was there. Kasi si Magu na parang, alam mo yon, parang Manila Classico, ibig sabihin yan, may gusto silang makita. It's either you make it or you break it, like it is everything already, diba? So siguro maganda naman yung pinakita ko ng Manila Classico na yun. Nagtuloy-tuloy naman after nun. Yeah, so that's pretty.
Kasama ka pa namin eh. So okay siguro.
Kasali ko naman ako. Hindi ko naman ako natanggal. So okay pa naman. Yeah. That's how I got into PBA finally. But also like Selina, took me 10 years, maybe like 10 years in the making.
Wow.
So, mga nagtatanong sa akin now, paano, how, kailan, hindi ko masagot yung kailan because again, it took me like a decade. You would really have to have the stamina to wait.
Yeah.
If you want something, it's worth the wait.
Yan ang mga...
May nag-comment sa Facebook natin, yung ba daw, isa mong minention na pangalan, ex ba daw ni Blank? Sabi ko, sa lahat ng nanonood sa Facebook, hindi po tayo nagdi-discuss ng mga exes dito sa 2OT. One of our topics that we will veer away from will be exes. Present pwede, siguro. Pero yung past, wag nyo na po itanong.
Ayaw ba yung pag-usapan yun?
Yan ang mga... Naging the buzz tayo bigla.
Rizza, we also asked the anchors and even your fellow courtside reporters when it was their turn to be interviewed dito sa 2OT. But can you remember, one of your most embarrassing moments on the mic, on live TV? May mga naaalala ba kayo talagang hindi nyo na makakalimutan? Yung kay Selina, medyo alam nating lahat. Pero...
Oh my God, yes! Oh!
Pero start tayo kay Rizza.
Refresh yung memory ko. Yung kay
Main
Selina.
event yung kay Selina, yung volleyball.
Ay, nako. Alam mo, I will not forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Every time I enter, siguro for 1 month, Rizza, every time I enter the production room, Sev, Magu, Carlo, Jot, they will not let me forget that moment. Even Dong let on about it for like a month. Pero kasi, post-game interview, buti na lang sa PSL siya nangyari. Sabi ko, like at least in PSL, ang interview ko fellow girls, like, girls anyway. So I was telling Jamie, and buti na lang Jamie also was my dear friend. Like, she was a very good friend. The mom ended up making parang a meme about it. Even sila Ana Gupico, her teammates made a meme about it. So, ayun, parang I was interviewing Jamie. I've known her from Ateneo because she was playing for the Lady Eagles also. And she had such a great game. And then I told her, there was a time where I said, Jamie, spectacular game you showed in the court today. You had 24 excellent and supposed to be excellent stats. Instead, I said 24 excellent sex. stats. Kinorek ko naman agad. It was, so instead of saying excellent sex, I said excellent sex. I corrected it right away, but then for some reason, fans were able to edit it in such a funny way. Yung people nagre-replay, excellent sex, ganon. So yeah, it went on for a while, but even I, for a while, felt bad about it. But then I remember I got a call from Sir Sab. Sabi ni Sir Sab, you know what? The response of the fans to that blooper, talagang natuwa sila. It was funny for them, it didn't really offend anybody. So just laugh with the fans. Parang don't let it affect you. You're gonna laugh about this one day. And true enough, like right now, every time I remember it, parang natatawa na lang ako. I swear, the first few hours it happened, like I wanted to lock myself in the bathroom and like cry. Hindi ko alam it. I'm so embarrassed.
Alam mo kasi it was you and it really looked like an honest mistake. And it was an honest mistake. If it was one of us, wala na kami. Lalo na kung si Dominic ko yun, patay na.
Si Selina kasi, alam mo yung parang talagang she's super innocent, di ba? Hindi mo akalaing lalabas sa bibigyan mo. So when he texted me about it, Rizza, I felt bad.
Oh, yes.
I didn't get to see the game. My bad. I didn't get to see the game. So naman, sinerch ko online.
Andali, nandun yung trending topic.
Tumawa lang ako. Sabi ko, just laugh it off.
Yeah. Alam mo, nakakatuwa kasi that day, when I was driving home and then I finally got to talk to Kevin on the phone, Kevin sent me a link before I went to bed of the worst bloopers of our Filipino reporter. So tawa na ako ng tawa after that video, like, compilation. And then I felt better kasi parang even like, people who have been in the industry for so long, like people who are really like veterans, they also commit the same mistakes. And parang
it happens. It's live TV.
Pero
ito na lang
God,
just
why does it have to be that word?
To put you at ease about it, Selina. Hindi pa lang kasi na-update yung pinadala sa'yo ni Kev na link na yun. That's top 3 easy pag may nag-update nito. It'll be up there for a long time. Just kidding.
Oh my goodness.
Isa, how about your embarrassing moment?
Dami, guys. Baka kayo may gusto ko yung i-share.
Alam mo, just to be fair, in the interest of fairness, lahat ng anchors natin nagsalita tungkol sa kanila.
Pero si Carlo hindi nagsabi. Si Carlo hindi nagsabi.
I will share mine. It was the PBA D-League sa JCSGO gym. I was preparing for the game. You start off with your opening, nakasulat lahat kung sino yung mga players na feature, kung ano yung flow ng discussion. So I opened. And then hindi ko na sasabihin kung sino. Pero nakalimutan ko yung pangalan ng analyst ko.
Oh my God! What did you do? Oh my God, what did you do?
I introduced him as, hindi ko siya pinakilala. Sinabi ko lang, Coach. So there.
Wow.
It was really bad.
Buti na lang, Coach. When in doubt, say Coach. O partner.
Naman siya.
Buti na lang.
Well, ako recently, it happened to me. Si Magu, ikaw yata nag-cover nun eh. Buti na lang si Magu. Ano yata, parang interview na ng best player. Tapos, ako, nagmimi-nagaling ako. Tinry ko mag addition, subtraction sa kung ilan yung lamang, ilan yung nagawa niyang points. Isang point. So, nagkagulo-gulo na sa isip ko. Hindi kasi, okay, what happened was, na-ready ko naman to, na-compute ko na to bago pa sumalang sa interview. Eh, hindi ko alam kung sino yung Poncio Pilato, sumut pa. Nagdagan bigla at ang dami-dami ng numbers. Siguro mga, alam mo naman, pag kunyari 100, 108 minus 79. Hindi ko na alam.
Sa 78 madali, sa 79 magugulo ka na eh.
Ano pa? Tapos tinry ko pa na point out na si player, yung in-score niya, ganito karami sa points nila. Ayan, nagkagulo. So, Alam mo yung in-interview ko siya, tapos parang sinabi ko, you scored gantong number of points out of the ganto. Tapos parang inaantay niya kung ilan. Nasa ko parang school, tulungan mo naman ako. Alam mo yan. Tapos yung player na nagsabi kung ilan, namat niya kagad, ang galing niya. Kaya. Tapos itong si Magu, after pa nang sabi, ayan, subukan na kay Doc J.
nanonood si Doc J John, nagalit. Aside from most
ikaw
embarrassing
muna
moment, akala ko
Wait, si
lulusot.
Magu hindi pa nag-share.
Akala ko lumusot. Hindi, maganda yung follow-up question ko eh. Pagka naman, no? Siguro, for me, I trace it all the way back. Gilas 1 pa to, courtside reporter ako. Back then, yung Gilas 1, or Gilas lang ang tawag, Smart Gilas Pilipinas, tawag sa kanila.
Is this Coach Trico? Sino Coach Trico?
Yeah. Nag-guest team sila sa PBA. And nagiging triple header yung PBA, but the Gilas games get played at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Pero ang TV niyan mamayang gabi pa. Tape delayed. Ilalabas ng Solar yan sa TV after pa nung second game. Well, technically third game na ng PBA. It was a night na I came from somewhere the previous night or an afternoon na I think mga 5 or 6 ng umaga ako nakauwi. So, pasok ka guys. Still made it to call time at 12. The game was at 2. First report, Paulo Trillo. Manager Paulo Trillo of the Meralco Balls was still part of the panel. Turnover siya sa akin. Ganito, ganon. Let's send it over to Magu. Ako naman, narinig ko yung let's go to Magu. Nag-thanks ako. Thanks. Magu. Yung FD ko, parang pati ako, parang, o nga, ano? Pagkatapos na, report ka, 45 seconds, 30, 45 seconds. And then pagkabitaw ko on air, tawa ng tawa sila, Paolo, doon sa taas. Doon ko lang na-realize, nakatawa ng tawa na rin yung FD ko. Ayaw nga, no, pinasalamatan ko sarili ko. And since then, every time magtatrabaho ko, I do not go out the night before. Hindi na talaga pwede. I scratched that off.
Oh my God, how adorable.
Magu talaga.
The night after, or the night of,
The night
after the game, yeah.
The night the night of the game after the game.
Yan. Yun na. So, bukod sa embarrassing moments naman, may tanong dito si Cyril Jury Damian. Ano naman yung mga pinaka-memorable yung interviews? 1 or 2, if you can't limit it. At least 1. Memorable interviews in the PBA. Alam na kasi natin yung SELINA eh. Ano pa rin yun?
Heart.
Say that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, parang yung naisip ko.
Magkatabi ba tayo?
Naman,
Magkababa tayo, Carlo eh. Tayong dalawa, Carlo. Di ba katabi ko si RIZZA?
Oh my God, you guys are so cute.
Trending si SELINA.
Oo, yun yung matandaan ko. Ikaw nga, RIZZA, you may kwento. What's your most memorable?
Most memorable na buti na lang hindi ko pinahiya ang sarili ko at ang bansa. Siguro the one with Tony Parker. That was pretty special for me.
Wow.
It was for the Olympic qualifiers, and it's that game where France won. And that game they won and they already qualified for the Olympics. So it's the last game. And you know, it was a moment to interview Tony Parker because I've always been a fan of his and of course that trio Spurs. So that's one. Another would be, I think, very special and always I'm looking forward to interview, let's say, guys like Junmar. Yan ang mga gusto kong interview because it's super unexpected what you'll get out of them, you know? So yun yung mga most memorable.
Puso time, SELINA.
Pero alam mo, tama si RIZZA. Parang there are certain players or athletes that have such a funny personality or have such amazing personalities. So parang every time you interview them, memorable yung nagiging interaction mo with them. Like Calvin Abueva's also like that. I remember there was this one game that I interviewed Calvin, and parang sabi niya na wala pa daw siyang tulog, nanggaling daw siya from a police precinct. So he was in the police precinct until 10 a.m. that day. Tapos diretso na daw siya sa Araneta. And nandun daw siya sa police precinct because he got into like a car collision the night before with his kids. Thankfully, everybody was safe. Pero grabe lang yung determination, you know, to show up, the tenacity, the grit to show up to the game despite having a hard night. So yung mga ganong interactions mo with players who have such a distinct personality. Junmar's also one of them.
Yeah.
Talagang memorable yon. And of course, yun, yung parang kiss. Kasi ikaw ba, Riza, expect mo may kiss kayo sa... I remember pa, like a week after that, nakasabay ko pa si Ma'am Shena sa bathroom. Tapos sabi sa akin ni Ma'am Shena, ikaw naman, ba't ka nagpa-kiss? I think he alam that Kevin was my boyfriend. So after that, I think he figured out after, they're together pala, ganyan-ganyan. So ayun, naging okay naman.
Alam mo, Magu, just going back to Rizza's answer, if you look at that interview with Tony Parker, kung natuwa si Rizza sa pag-interview, kung panoorin niyo yun, natuwa rin si Tony Parker na si Rizza yung nag-i-interview sa kanya. Legit.
Legit, ale. May kilig.
Actually, parang may series na may hawag kay Eva Longoria. Kaya...
Oh, wow. Okay, guys. Okay.
Pwede ba natin idugtong doon sa non-live version? May rights ba tayo doon? Speaking of interaction, Wilson Manangan is asking naman, meron bang coach o player kayo na parang natatakot kayo interviewin o i-approach?
Yan. Selina, kanino ka takot?
Oh. I remember so well when I entered the PBA, everybody was telling me that it's so hard to interview Coach Tim Cohn. You know, he usually doesn't grant interviews pre-game. So I remember my first and ever game, I was feeling especially anxious because I needed to get my interview with him. But I also know, like, the other reporters were telling me, you know, just interview Coach Shard because Coach Shard, he's very warm. He knows what it's like also to be on TV, to need to get reports, to need to get content. So they were telling me, aim na lang for Coach Shard. But I remember that morning, so nakaset na ako, like I wrote my questions, it was nakalagay sa taas, Coach Shard. That morning, when I was about to cover the game, I was already preparing. I got a message from Erica. Erica Padilla, if you're there, hi. So Erica was saying, you know what, parang sabi niya, I know it's your first and ever game, and maybe you heard that Coach Tim isn't very easy to interview, but, you know, my advice for you is just ask. Who knows? You know, he might say yes. It wouldn't hurt you if you ask. So when I went to the locker rooms of the players, and then I saw Coach Tim approaching, and then I asked him, Coach, is it okay if I get an interview? It would be really quick. I promise. My name's Selina. I'm a new reporter in the league. And then Coach Tim was like, let me think about it. And then sure, because I felt so relieved. But I remember I was feeling especially anxious to interview him. Just because.
Buti na lang wala si Rizza that day. Kung hindi, baka sinabi, tagalugin mo.
I know.
Baliktad
baka
naman.
Baliktad naman.
Ako din, Coach Tim din, at first, I was very nervous to approach him. Tim Cohn eh. He is Tim Cohn. So I made sure na talagang pang matalino yung tanong ko. Kasi kung, alam mo yung kung sasayangin ko lang yung oras ni Coach Tim Cohn, baka hindi niya nakapag-happen ulit. You know? So that, I had fears too of talking to Coach Yengyao at the start. But when we started to, you know, have that conversation, okay na, kaya mo na yan si Coach Yengyao. Kayang-kaya. Almost all of the PBA coaches are very approachable. They would know, but it's just, kumbaga, they are very approachable, but as reporters, you should know kasi your timing on when to approach them. So you're respectful to their time.
And I guess they become approachable pagka alam na nilang you actually know what you're doing. Pagka, ito, si Selina ulit or si Rizza ulit, alam na nilang, tiwala na sila, hindi yung, di ba?
Yes.
We received another question on Facebook, and since si Rizza yung mas experienced among the two of you, gusto ko
siya yun, di ako
sabi ko mas experienced It's actually a very serious question coming from Nico Wahe. Rizza, how did you handle rejection?
I handled it. I reversed rejection, seeing it as motivation. You know. So when you tell me no, let's say alam yan ni Magu. It took me a while kasi na makapasok sa roster ng PBA reporters because for us, once you make it there, talagang ibig sabihin you're one of the best, right? So took me a while to get to that spot. But whenever they would tell me no, I would take it as a not yet. Hindi na ngayon. I would never take no as an answer. I cannot take no. I would take it as a not yet rather. Then I would work on myself, see what I lack, see what I can improve on, and then come back again. Just kulit. I'm stubborn. I won't give up. So it's either you would take me someday or I'm just gonna keep on coming back.
Okay.
That's a nice question. Thank you.
Magu?
May nakita ko kaninang baka may question ka pa dyan. Hindi, hinahanap ko, may napili din ako. Ang ganda nung napili mo eh. Kailangan ma-impress din sa... Ang ganda nung napili mo eh. Itong mga...
Selina, of course, we all know that courtside reporters only get, a few minutes per game in the entire broadcast. Kami ni Magu, 2 oras kaming dumadada. Ang dami naming pwedeng masabi. But for you, how much pressure is it to know that in the entire game, you will only get like 4 solid minutes of information that you can give to the
total
viewers.
Na yun. Yeah.
Yep, gano kabigat yung pressure na yun to give them a really good report.
Mm-hmm. I find that the pressure you feel during the games, it definitely diminishes and it lessens a lot. Like it lessens exponentially every time you come into the game prepared. So, in a way, it's like you get a little bit more confidence, a little less pressure, and that's confidence backed up by a lot of hard work. You show up to the game early. You try to interview the players who performed well during the previous games or who performed unusually unwell during the previous games. You get as much human stories as you can. And, you also talk, like, I know, like, you guys, Carlo, Magu, you guys, everybody, our analysts or anchors, they also tell you naman if they want a specific story, So, for me, like, the help that we give each other when it comes to our broadcast, it lessens the pressure. So, pagdating mo na sa games, tapos nandun na lahat the information that you need, you were able to gather content, your reports, parang less pressure na. Of course, nandun pa rin yung, oh my God, dapat I'll try my best not to buckle, I'll try my best not to stutter. But because you came in prepared, it's just, the pressure is definitely lessened. Yeah.
How about you, Rizza?
Ako, I keep things very simple. My perspective of delivering my reports is very simple. Kaya siguro the pressure is not as big as it would seem to be. Laging ang perspective ko in finding reports is, as a fan, what do I want to know? Diba? What do they do not know? So ganun lang kasimple. But I agree with Selina in that aspect that when you're coming into the battle prepared with your ammunition, kahit anong ibato sa'yo, you will be able to contribute. And that's the biggest fear kasi as a reporter, and Selina would agree, yung kapag tinanong ka about certain something and you don't know, your answer is, I don't know, or I don't, like, parang off. So we should know, because that's our jobs. So preparation is one thing to combat pressure.
I also
And Carl,
yeah, natatandaan. Yeah, when I was I agree with Lisa, like, she keeps it simple. Parang it's also important to remember to keep it simple. Kasi during my first year with Ateneo, it was Coach Norman who was coach, and I was so fortunate that I was able to have him in a way, mentor me, give me some tips. And I remember him telling me that, at the end of the day, it's storytelling.
Yes.
As a reporter, you don't have much to be anxious about because it's not about you. You're like a storyteller. and it's about the athletes we cover. It's about the game itself. So parang in a way, when you think of that, no, it's not about me. It's about more storytelling. It's more about the sport itself, the game itself. Sobrang nakakaano siya, gaan ng loob, di ba, Rizza? Parang
Yes.
nakakatanggal siya ng pressure. Yeah.
Yun yung lamang din siguro, Carlo, because like kay Selina, first coach na kino-cover niya, also did TV.
Yeah.
Kaya yung veteran TV analyst din si Coach Norman from way back in the day. Naiintindihan nila eh. So madaling pagka nagusto nilang i-mentor ka, they can actually really push you in the right direction, di ba?
True.
And with these two, Carlo, kilala mo kung pareho tayo, palagi tayo maaga naman kahit before call time. You always see these two talaga. Nandun na, pag dumating ka, nakaupo na si Selina, usually sa tapat ng crucifix. Si Rizza nasa loob, nag-aantay ng mga player na dumadating. It's all about preparation. For the people out there, for the younger generation out there who want to get into courtside reporting, it's really about preparation. Yun nga, sabi ni Rizza, ayaw mong mapapahiya ka pag may biglang counter question sa'yo. Diba?
What a lot of people don't see kasi is what we, how it is behind the scenes, di ba? How it is behind the scenes. So, ang nakikita na lang nila, we go on air. Pero yung preparation before that, the night before, di ba? The night before, andyan na. Hours before. Ako naging wake-up call ko nun in a way is that I'm thinking, these are professional athletes I'm dealing with. Professional coaches, world-class athletes, world-class coaches. So kung sila nga na napakagagaling na, they're professional on their level, they still train every day. They still prepare for the ball game, How much more kung ako, diba? So if I come in not prepared, then sayang naman.
Meron akong importanteng question para sa inyong dalawa. Pero before yung tanong ko, we just wanna say hi. Nanonood si Direct Nick Earnshaw sa atin. Si Dada Nick, Direct Nick. So ang tanong ko sa inyong dalawa, sinong paborito niyong direktor?
Gusto kong batiin naman si Direct Nick. Si Direct Nick na busy sa kusina parate. Direct Nick, patikim naman ng mga ano ba yan, yung mga niluluto nila.
Tanong si Direct Nick, sabi niya, most memorable interview ever. Direct Nick,
ayun,
ka ng mga 15 minutes.
Nagtanong na pala si Dada.
Nakakamiss your cookies. Nung bago ko, meron pang mga chocolate chip cookies na dinadala si Direct Nick sa PSL eh.
Hoy, Direct, bakit kami hindi nabibigyan nun? Pambira naman. Parang alam na dis ah.
Alam niyang hindi ka bibili. Hindi siya nagpadala sa'yo. Binibenta yun, yun libre.
Akala ko naman. Uy, si Carlo Canizares. Interesting to. Unahin natin si Selina. Kasi hindi ko alam kung si Rizza meron pa. Kaninong player po kayo na sa starstruck pa rin hanggang ngayon? Pwera si Kevin ha? Hindi pwede si Kevin.
Lovestruck yun, Lovestruck.
Okay. To be honest, pwede ba okay lang ba kahit hindi na siya player? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. With me, it's with Coach Alex Compton, sometimes when I'm in Kevin's house, I get to watch their old games kasi pinapanood ni Coach Lou yung mga games nila from way back. And then I would watch Coach Alex and he's, wow, I really like him not only as an athlete, but also his personality as a person. So sometimes when I interview him, I get excited, a little thrilled, a little shy, pero there's a lot of admiration that comes into it. Parang yun nga, yung feeling na starstruck because I know this guy, the character of this guy, it's just talagang grabe. And also his skill, his ability. I wish naabutan ko pa siyang maglaro. But not anymore. But at least na-cover namin ni Rizza yung mga games niya.
Pero si Coach Alex, ini-English mo naman.
Yes.
Yan kahit ano.
Coach Alex, di ba tatry niyang mag-Tagalog pa rin paminsan, even if it's Baroque, and it's so charming.
Baroque?
Ikaw, Rizza.
Let's see. Kasi growing up, PBA fan ako, Hinebra talaga ako sa fan. So, one time, nung pumasok si Senator Jaworski, parang napaka-surreal na moment na parang, Panginoon, how? That's why I was trying to get that interview with him. Then season, nung one time pumasok sa production room natin because of course of his wife, Patricia, yung parang bigla akong parang napahawak ko na, Jesus, napapatawag sila ng mga santo. Yan, ganun. Manny Pacquiao, back in the day, nung nagko-coach pa si Senator, medyo napaisip din ako kung paano ba yung approach kay Senator.
Sobrang gets ko yung kay Rizza na pag pumasok si Big J sa Araneta, parang apparition. Parang hindi ka makapaniwala na nandyan talaga siya. I mean, he's called the living legend for a reason. Kaya naman, I completely understand. Yung kay Selina naman, I'll teach you a trick in interviewing Coach Alex Compton. Bago mo siya umpisang kausapin, sabihin mo lang, magandang umaga! Tapos, yayain mo magkape.
Yeah, because he was in that commercial, right? Yeah, I remember that commercial. Pero si Coach Alex naman, always a good interview, you know. He's always very makwento, he's a funny guy.
Selina, I think inabutan mo pa tong player who just started watching right now. Inabutan mo pa ba si Escueta? Si Jason Escueta?
Yes!
He's watching right now.
Yeah. In campus before. Hi, Jason! Yeah.
Bago nahanap mo na yung importanteng tanong na hinahanap mo kanina.
Hindi. Ginulo ni Nick eh. Si Direct Nick, tinabunan yung mga message dito.
Guys, we just hit 1 hour. Before we let you go, just a message for, sports fans out there. Mga naghihintay na makapanood ulit ng PBA, ng PSL, and all of the offerings sa One Sports, of course, also to see you guys. Selina?
Okay, well, to all the sports fans out there, unang-una sa lahat, maraming salamat po talaga sa support ng pinapakita nyo. Alam naman natin na all of us in this screen right now would be jobless. This league wouldn't exist if it weren't for your support, if it weren't for your love. So first of all, thank you so very much. And also, sobrang nakaka-relate rin kami sa inyo. Excited na rin kaming manood. Namimiss na rin namin sobra yung games. So hang in there and let's all pray together para naman matuloy pa rin ang ating PBA soon. And ayun, thank you so much, guys.
Rizza?
1 hour na tayo. Ayoko pa umalis eh. No, but this is a lot of fun, guys. Magu and Carlo, this is an awesome platform where we could catch up kasi talagang nakakamiss naman yung na hindi lang yung trabaho, pati yung mga kasama mo sa trabaho, 'di ba? And again, times like this would make you realize the things that maybe we took for granted before, di ba? Yung sa Prodrome, Carlo, anong ulam? Kasi magbubukas tayo ng pack lunch. Si Magu, magpapalibre na ako kasi papabili na siya ng soft drink. But
it's my dog wants to say hi. Hi, it's Pepito.
But for all that are watching us, maraming salamat sa inyo kasi again, katulad nyo, pareho tayong lahat nag-aantay, nag-aabang na kailan ba magsisimula ang liga, but of course, we have to do our part to make sure that, everyone is going to be safe and healthy before we resume with everything. This PBA season would have been really dedicated talaga for the fans to enjoy. We had so much, the PBA along with Sports 5, One Sports, we had so much in store for the PBA fans out there para mas mapalapit kayo sa mga PBA idols ninyo. And the plans are just put on hold. Hindi naman tayo na-cancel. So we'll resume soon. And when we do, we're going to have a really good time. So maraming salamat for all of your support to the players, to the league, and of course kami na rin na nag-broadcasting games.
And if you guys are missing RIZZA in particular, you can still catch RIZZA once a week online, Riz.
Yes, every Saturday, 2 p.m. on the Chase Down. So sa Signal, it's on PBA Rush, and it's also available on Facebook. At kung gusto niyo rin pong magpadala ng pagkain, okay din naman po ako sa inyo ang address.
Ay, pag may extra, pati kami ni Carlo, padala na.
Patanggapin po ako niyan. Yung mga cookies, yung mga ganon. Pwede rin po.
Once again, Selina, RIZZA, Thank you so much for joining me and Magu here on 2OT. Magu, we'll take a break tomorrow, but when we resume on Saturday, we have a big one for you. We have the 1996 Grand Slam team of the Alaska Aces for a Zoom reunion live on 2OT. So Sean Chambers will be there, Jojo Lastimosa will be there,
Yasco
will be there, and many other members of that Alaska squad. So if you grew up watching the Alaska Aces, kung fan ka nila, kung doon ka sa mga tinatalo nila noong 1996, please join us for that reunion on Saturday.
Carlo, wait, Carlo, pakisingil nga ako kasi ang dami kong natalong pusta. Kasi
sabi ko na yun yung mga isa sa team na nagpaiyak kay Rizza eh.
Kenneth Durendes, Poch Winyo. Yan yung
That's gonna be Saturday 11 a.m. dahil global na naman. Pagka ganun po, parang maging live tayo, pati mga nasa States, makausap natin live. That's on Saturday 11. Bago naman yung show ni Rizza, so okay lang.
Yay! Magu, is Kuya watching? Kuya Steven watching?
See?
Kuya Steven is he watching?
Not sure. Baka tulog na yun.
Hello.
My goodness. Magu, Carlo, thank you so much. We had so much fun. Thanks,
Thank you so much. I hope we can do this again. And on that note, we end this episode of 2OT Live. Thank you and see you all on Saturday, 11 a.m. Bye.